What just to refresh our memories, we're learning this mimer, this an essay, if you want to call it, but these are things that the Rebbe said. This is the first Rebbe of Chabad. And he asked the question, how can it be that it says after all the curses, there's the 49 curses in this week's Torah portion, if the Jews don't do what God wants. So after the 49 curses, the end, the sum total, you figure it should say in the end, and these are the curses that await you if you don't do what I say, right? These are the evil things at my disposal that I can visit upon you if you do not do my commandments. No, that's not what it says. Even though that's what it is, I mean, that's what it seems. What does it say? It says these are the laws and the statutes and the how do you say, teachings, the teachings. Says these are the laws and the statutes and the teachings that God gave between him and between the Jewish people. What there's no laws. That's not what it's like. This it was put in the wrong place, the sentence. Where did this sentence come in? So, but God doesn't make any mistakes. He put this exactly in the right place. Why? We'll explain why. How can it be that after saying 49 terrible curses, if you don't do what I say, then they'll be so hungry, women will eat their babies, and there will be pestilence, and there will be this and this. And these are the laws that I gave you. So what type of laws are these? So the Rebbe says like this. Let's go back to how do you say, to step one. This week's Torah portion, God's pleading with the Jewish people. That's how it starts off. Please go in my laws. Please go in. And the Rebbe said this is really referring to what is God begging the Jews to do in the beginning. Like if only you would go in my statutes. So the Rebbe says this refers to using the three aspects of your soul, to the three garments of your soul, to serve God: thought, speech, and action. Thought is bechukosai telechu. Thought means thinking about God, contemplating the greatness of God, contemplating the oneness of God, contemplating the closeness of God, the love of God, how God is creating us. God is providing for all of the creations in the world that he creates. So God is creating the sun, the stars, the angels. He's providing all being. He gave us the Torah, took us out of Egypt. Think about that. Contemplate. That's b'chukosai telechu. Then you'll start to move out of who you are. That's thought. Afterwards it says, "V'mitzvotai tishmoru." And he explains, the Rebbe explains more than I'm explaining now. I'm just making a summary of what he said. That's mitzvotai tishmu. It says, and then you should protect the commandments, keep the commandments. He says that's talking about speech. Because when a person speaks the words of Torah, is that protects this awareness that he has of God by having the proper thoughts. He thinks about God, he gets the proper thoughts, he gets aroused, he loves God, he has awe of God, feels responsibility to God. But that won't continue for long unless he says the words of Torah. Saying the words of Torah, that's what it means. Right? This is the first sentence in our this Torah portion. It says that's what it means. The mitzvosai tishmoro. You should protect with my commandments. That's talking about speech. Right? And he explains how. Vasitem otam is talking about actually doing the commandments. That really brings God into the physical world. That really brings God into the physical world. Actually doing the commandments. And that's really the goal of the Jewish people. The goal of the Jewish people is to bring God into the world, to make every creation, to feel the Creator. And even more to feel that the Creator is infinitely connected intimately, infinitely connected with their very existence. God is creating us. This is incomprehensible, but it's true. And that is accomplished by the commandments, by doing the commandments. And that breaks through the veneer of selfishness in this world, right? The world seems to scream out, and that's the way that God created it, that there's no creator. The world is just here. It's just here, just maybe it always was here. It's not important. The world is here. There's no creator. Maybe it was created by some sort of cosmic forces or who knows what. But we're not thinking in terms of a creator and a creation. There's just me. You just feel yourself. And through the commandments, you can draw the feeling into the world, the proper perspective that there's really is a creator and that we're infinitely more important than we think we are because God is creating us. On the other hand, God is creating us from nothing. So essentially, we are made of nothing. So to feel that, on one hand, how lucky we are, and fortunate we are just to be created, and that we're being created for a purpose, as that's the job of the Jewish people to feel that. But there's this veneer, this, how do you say, this concealment, which is called the world. And in Hebrew, the word for world is the same word as concealed. Helam, elam, ayin, lam, and mem. So it says that's what it means to change all these curses to blessings. All the 49 curses we had, they are here in order for us to transform them to blessings. That's why they're here. That's why the whole world is. The world essentially is one big curse. It covers over godliness. It covers over the truth. It covers over life. It covers over infinity. That is a true, unending reality. Covers it over. We don't see it. We don't feel it. That's why it says that Adam was created. If he wouldn't have eaten from the tree, he would have lived forever. What's got to do with living forever? Let him just go up to heaven and live. If he wouldn't have eaten from the tree, so he would have, done what he wanted to. He would have lived, 1,000 years or whatever, and then go up to heaven. What's wrong with heaven? Heaven is great. Go up into heaven. He says no. If Adam wouldn't have eaten from the tree, he would have stayed in this physical world. This physical world is infinitely higher than heaven because here you can do what God wants. But we don't see that and we don't feel it. That's why why? Because the world covers over. So that it ends up the world on one hand is a big, terrible curse because it covers over the truth. On the other hand, the world is the biggest blessing. If godliness is revealed here, this is the ideal place. This is where Adam would have remained if he hadn't sinned. Why did he sin? Because of the world. So the world is the worst of the worst. And on the other hand, the world is the best of the best. It conceals us. So that's what we have to do. We have to transform it. And that's what all these curses are. These curses represent all of the ability of the world to cover over the truth, the true picture. Says the Rebbe, I'm going to give you an example. For instance, one of the biggest curses, it says that the ger asher b'kirbecha, that the non-Jew that is temporarily dwelling among you, he's going to rule over you. Hager asher b'kirbecha yalem maila maila. So this is a curse which is in the 98 curses that are in Parshas Tavo in Deuteronomy, but it says the ger, the non-Jew that dwells among you, just a temporary dweller that's among you, as he's going to raise up over you and he'll rule you. That's pretty bad. It says, but you can transform it to good. The same exact sentence. Hager, that's referring to the godly soul, which is you're not paying attention to, that's living inside of you, that you're not paying attention to, as it will raise up l'mayla, your perception of God, which is now just like a temporary resident inside of you, just like how do you say a tourist inside of you, is that's also called a ger. So ger can be referring to the non-Jew which is among you, the animal instincts that you have of just dealing only with the world, saying there is no God, there's just a world. That's the ger, the non-Jew inside of you will raise up higher and higher. That's what ger means. But ger also means the godly soul, the temporary dwelling. The godly soul inside of it, you make temporary, you make it like just like a tourist. You don't pay any attention to it. So that will raise up above. That's what he says. So if so, the same exact, it's written in the Torah. How do we interpret the Torah? And how do you it says clearly in the Torah that the non-Jew should be the leader. But that depends. That's if you translate the word ger to be refer to the negative side. But if you refer to the positive, the worldly side, if you refer to it as the positive side, so then God is saying that the godly soul which is in you will raise up. And that's right. And then the body and all the things that were covering over the godly soul, that will go below. In other words, you put the body and your egotism in its proper place. The body is good. You put the world in its proper place. The world is good. It's wonderful. It's a creation of God. It's a bit higher than heaven. So is your body. So are we. That's the idea of the raising of the dead. That we'll see that the body is really a creation. It's not all there is. But on the other hand, the body is even higher in some ways than the soul is. That's the second meaning. That this word ger that's going to raise up, that's your godly soul, your perception of God, that will raise up above. So in other words, that's the whole purpose of the Torah, in order to remove the selfishness and separateness and the apparent, how do you say, loneliness, you want to call it, of the world, that's all there is the world, to remove this misconception and misperception, and to show that the world is not alone. The world is being created, and there's a creator that's infinitely more real than the world, and this creator wants the world to be here. Every detail in the world is important. That's the job of the Jews, is to transform the curse, which is the world, into a blessing, which is the world. The world becomes a blessing. Instead of covering over godliness, we reveal the true purpose of God in the world. But that's transforming the curses to blessings. Also the intention of Yitzchak, Avinu olav shalom. Now, what's the story about Yitzchak? You remember there was Abraham, Isaac, and Isaac and Jacob. So Yitzchak had two sons. He had Jacob. He's the founder of the Jewish people, and he had Esav. And it says Esav was Mr. World. Esav, he was a murderer, he was a rapist, he was tremendously successful in everything that he did. He was like the ultimate Nazi, Esav. The only problem was he was a Jew. They were twin brothers. They were born at the same time, basically. Right? Esav came out first, and Yaakov came out second, holding on to his heel. That's why it's one of the reasons it's called Yaakov. He held on to this Akiv. So it came time when Yitzchak was old. That's what the Torah tells us. That Yitzchak was older, and he wanted to bless his sons. Who did he want to bless? Esav. He wanted to bless Esav. Now Esav was was a big time evil guy. Like I say, he was a murderer, a thief, a rapist, everything bad you could do, he did. Not everything, he tried. And Yitzchak wanted to give him a blessing. So he said, okay, listen, Yitzchak was blind, he didn't know. And Esav had said he used to trick him. Oh, come on, I mean, Yitzchak was a tremendous tzaddik. He knew what was going on in all the worlds. He was aware of everything. How could he possibly have ignored Yaakov and wanted to give his blessing, his final blessing, to Esav? Because behold, habrachas, the blessings, the kein kol mitzvahs, and all the commandments of the Torah, that they are revealing godliness, lamata below, eina ella, the only reason we have all of these blessings. Can I do this? All the only reason we have all these blessings is in only la kafia to transform et I overdo it over here, maybe. Yeah. All the blessings in the world, and that's the whole idea of making a blessing. This is only in order to transform the bad in the world. Shouldn't have done, here we go. Here. Why Yitzchak wanted to bless Yaakov, but he didn't want to bless Jacob. Why? He Merkava. Sorry, I'm sorry. I skipped too far. Here we go. Now we can understand the intention of Yitzchak, that he wanted to bless Esav and he didn't want to bless Jacob. Why? Esav was a big evil person, and Yaakov was already holy. Yaakov needed more holiness, right? He knew at least how to use it. Esav, he would misuse the holiness. He would give him. It's like giving him the evil person, donating. You have a $2 billion. You donate it to Hitler. What type of a thing to do is that? Yeah, because I want to help the Jewish people. What, are you normal? What would you do a thing like that for? That's what Yitzchak basically did. He wanted to give his blessings to Esav. Because blessings, because the blessings, the whole idea of blessings, and also all the commandments of the Torah that they draw down, reveal godliness below. It's only la kafia in order to control the sitra achra, in order to control the selfishness, and transform them, that they should be subservient under holiness. The boss should be God, not us. And therefore, the Torah was not given until the Jews left Egypt. Why? Which is not the case in the time of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In the time of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they were totally holy. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they were what's called a vehicle for godliness, and totally united. They were like the vehicles. That's a better word for it. They were like instruments to reveal godliness. You didn't have to have any revelation below. They didn't have to be transformed. Therefore, they didn't, so to speak, need the Torah. That's why Yitzchak did not want to bless Yaakov. Why? That Yaakov, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, his son, they were already fixed up. And that's not the purpose of the Jews, to come and give blessings to those who are already blessed. Dato, the idea of Yitzchak was, Esav, he would give a blessing to Esav, who was bad, and then he would subdue him. And then he could bring him to holiness. That's the purpose of the Jews, to do that to the whole world. And therefore, Omar, he said in his blessings that he gave to Esav, he wanted to give to Esav. Shaya Savur, he thought it was Esav, because it says that Yitzchak's wife, Rivka, she revealed what was going on. And she took Yaakov, which was her son, and she dressed him up like Esav and taught him how to speak. There's different opinions of what he did, but she did. But in any case, she taught him how to speak like Esav, and etc. And he fooled Yitzchak. So Yitzchak gave these blessings to Yaakov, but he didn't know it was Yaakov. He thought it was Esav. He thought he was fixing up the evil in the world. That's what Yitzchak wanted to do. That's why the blessing said, God should give you from the dew of the heaven and from the fat of the earth, for rov the gun, the tirosh, and much the wheat and wine. What does it mean from the dew of the heaven? The dew of the heaven, this is referring to the written Torah. Mishmenei, or it's the fat of the earth. This is referring to the oral Torah. Rov Dagan, right? These are all metaphors that Yitzchak was giving. So the whole Torah is metaphors like this. This is Rov Dagan. You will have much wheat. This is the laws. That's many, Rov, very many. Like it says, Yitzvah, that Yosef gathered Harbeh Me'od, all this wheat. The wheat is referring to the laws of the Torah. So Yitzchak was blessing his son Esav. He thought it was Esav. It just happened to be that Yaakov changed places with him. Esav was busy out in the field trying to catch an animal to give to Yitzchak to eat. Esav. So Esav delayed, and Yitzchak took his place, and he got the blessings. But he got blessings that Esav was supposed to get. What did the blessings say? You're going to get the written Torah. You're going to have the oral Torah. You're going to have all of the laws that come out of the Torah. And that's the laws. And what is tirosh? What is the wine? You're going to get the secrets of the Torah. Like it says, nichnas yain yotzei sod. Yaakov, Yitzchak, blind Yitzchak, he wanted to give all of this to his evil son Esav. Why? Because he knew what he was doing. Lahachnia, lakafia, that in order to subdue him and to, how do you say, to subjugate all of the forces of evil and selfishness in the world. But really, Yitzchak, his intentions were really good. He wanted to take the world, Esav, and transform it to feel God. Rivka revealed, right, his wife, Rivka revealed that he couldn't do it. So she made this trick that worked. Why? Because in fact, Loya Efshar, Yitzchak was not able, he could not do it. Back there in the Torah, we read about in Bereshis, we read really couldn't do it. Mach was because who were Ragamor, because Esav was really totally bad. He was bad through and through. And if he would have gotten the blessings, he would have totally misused them. But Tzarechim Lavira Sitra Achra Lagamri Ulachrit Makala Klalot, and Esav, the only way that he could have been subdued, it was going to take a long time, and it's still going on right now, until he is dissolved totally. The bad in him is gone totally. You can't get rid of it by blessings. Raka brachas, the blessings have to be given now. The blessings were given to the Jewish people. Now it's our job, little by little, that we have to subdue the forces of selfishness. Ulitarev bezaro v'nitarev bezaro. Kamosh katuv v'yit arvu kuli. Kamosh katuv v'yasu achav achiv bo mitzido. Al tikre mitzido el mitzado. That we have to subdue the bad which is inside of us. It says that Esav gave Yaakov to eat from his food. It says, don't say from his food or from what his catch, what he caught. The animal, what is it that he caught? The mitzido, what he trapped. Right? Esav went out to catch food to give to his father Yitzchak. And Yitzchak came in, and Yaakov came in, and he said, I'm Esav. He got the blessing. After he got the blessing and left, immediately after, Esav came in with the animal that he had caught, and he gave his father to eat from his catchings, is the animal that he caught. Says, what's this got to do with anything? Says, what it means is that now we can't directly subdue evil in the world. We have to do it gradually. Where is this evil found? It's found inside of us. That's what it means, eat mitzido. Don't say mitzido, that this animal comes from what Esav catches, but mitzado, from within us. When a person stands up and prays, and he wants to cling to God, there come all of these strange thoughts. Seemingly they don't come, they come against his will. It's like they come mitzado. They come from somewhere or other, the side, like on their own. They pop up these thoughts in your mind. Automatically, but really the fact is these are the thoughts of what I stand up to pray. I want to pray to God. There's 19 prayers. I want to pray. I know what the prayers mean. And I know that these prayers are for things that the world really needs, right? The world really needs that there should be health and there should be wealth and that there should be, and that the Mashiach should come and Jerusalem should be built and there shouldn't be any wars, there should be peace. I know the world needs all these things. And I know that only God can provide it. And I stand up and I start praying. All of a sudden, these crazy thoughts come into my mind from nowhere, right? Oh yeah, maybe I left the water running over here. I shouldn't have done that thing. I should have said this. All of a sudden, these thoughts have absolutely nothing to do with anything, right? They just pop up in your mind. How do these thoughts pop up? I mean, I'm trying to pray to God for peace in the world, and I know that it's necessary, and I know that God will listen to my prayers, and I'm doing a very important thing. And all of a sudden, pops up a thought in my mind. Well, I could have bought this car. The car, why did I buy it over here? I should have bought it over there. Oh, I have to put water in the radiator. I forgot that. Well, all of a sudden, these thoughts, what's it got to do with anything? Nothing. And why? It says these thoughts really come from me. These are thoughts which I thought in the regular time, in the course of the day. It's just like you dream in the nighttime when you think about somehow or other in the daytime. And similar, but at the time of prayer, these thoughts come against my will. Therefore, they're called mitzado. They come from mitzido, from myself, or from the side. She'ein eno bechinas achara, she'ein einen bechinat acharayim, shu'u bechinat davar, shu'u bal korcha lagamri. This is not things that are forced on me, these thoughts, and I don't want them totally. These are thoughts that come into my mind somehow or other from my own free will. But it comes from like this, from nowhere inside of my soul. They come into my prayer. Why? Because I want to try to think about shirutza lalot ledavkabo mimelehem nimshachim acharav. Because I want to be clinging to God, and these thoughts, they're really part of me. Like a person that puts on a garment that's too long for him, and he's trying to walk, and he drags it in the dirt and in the mud, and then now when he wants to go up on a ladder, it comes with him. In other words, the same thing. The course of the day, as we're dealing with the world, and we have all these strange thoughts about the world that have nothing to do with God. It's like a person that has a long garment, right? His coat is too long and it drags in the dirt and everything. Okay, that's in the course of the day. But now he wants to go up on a ladder. That's like prayer. He wants to go up on a ladder, and let's say he wants to go up on a ladder to the higher level. As it, also the garment goes with him, and also all the dirt that this garment has gathered, so to speak, unintentionally in the course of the day, this also goes with it. The same thing, in the course of the day, we have all these mundane, regular thoughts. Okay, good, and there's nothing wrong with that. And when we start to pray, all of a sudden, all these thoughts, they schlepped along with us. They go out with us. In order that so what does it mean? We have to somehow or other deal with these bad thoughts and get rid of them, because that's pure egotism. We want to get rid of these egotistical negative thoughts that are preventing us from thinking about God and saving the world. How do we do that? Says that's exactly our job. That's exactly our job. This is not just a side thing. This is very important. We cannot transform the bad which is outside of us. We can only transform the bad which is inside of us. In order to do that, therefore Yitzchak thought that maybe, he said, "Come now, Shava." He said to his son, "Come over here. I want to give you a blessing." So he said to his son, Esav, "Stand up, and I will bless you." Stand up. What does it mean, stand up? Yitzchak suddenly realized what was going on. It says that Esav came in, and Yitzchak revealed that he had been tricked, and he realized it was a good thing. That the Rivka, so he said to his son, "You want a blessing? Stand up and I'll bless you." What? Because it's impossible to give a blessing to the bad while the bad is still there. It says, "Lo yagur chora." A person has to leave the bad, and then he can get blessed to transform. What do you have to do? Kumna, that's what he means, raise up. raise up, it says, like it says by the Jewish people, that when they left Egypt, can I try it again? Oh, no. No, for some reason, why? This is really strange. Huh. Okay, all right, I get it. I'll stop. That's what it says when the Jewish people left Egypt, which Egypt was another example of bad. It says, I sing to God because God, he's very, very high. What does that mean? That God is elevated over the bad. A person distances himself from them. And the Tanya also gives this advice. What do you do when you have bad thoughts, negative feelings, right? The urges that are destructive or the opposite of what you want. What are you supposed to do? So it says, the advice that Tanya gives is remove your energy from. Think about something else. Think about something else. Don't dwell on it. Don't try to fight it. Bad thoughts come up in your mind. Don't fight them. Just think about something else. Try to think, remove the energy from them. Say to yourself, oh, that's a stupid thought. I'm going to think about something else. It's called hesech hadat. You have to elevate yourself from these bad thoughts. Think about how high and great God is, how God fills all the worlds, how God surrounds the worlds, how everything in front of God is like nothing, how God's greatness is unfathomable. Automatically, then that's what it means. Raise up, stand up, and then the bad will fall away on its own. So automatically, no flim, no kolam, then all the bad things will fall away. These are all the evil impulses and emotions and selfish, destructive aspects of our personality and our thought and our reactions to the world, and all these things fall away. Why? When you think genuinely about what God is. That's one of the purposes of Chassidut. Ki Yisrael, the Jewish people, on their own, they rose up in God's thought. We're supposed to be the examples to the world of how it's possible to live and think about God all the time. Therefore, it says afterwards, Shava, sit down. What does it mean, Shava? Namely, the Jewish people themselves can come down and reveal below this godliness and make godliness a dwelling in the world. So again, the whole purpose of the Torah is to transform the bad. That's the purpose of the Torah, to transform these curses to blessings. That's the purpose of the Jewish people. We have an example of it, Yitzchak and Yaakov and Esav. And Yitzchak is an example of someone who wanted to get it done quickly, but he was wrong. It has to be done in a long process. How? That we have to deal with the bad inside of us. Especially this manifests itself when a person wants to pray, wants to think about God, and all of a sudden these thoughts pop into his mind, which have nothing to do with God, nothing to just meaningless worldly thoughts pop into his mind like a dream almost. He says, what is the person supposed to do? He says, that's the reason you're here. You can't fight with the bad that's outside. You have to fight, first of all, with the bad that's inside. How do you do it? How do you do it? By ignoring it, raising yourself up, thinking about something else that's more important, namely God. How God fills the world, how God surrounds the world, how infinite God is. When you think about that, then the bad falls away. Then you can start fixing up the outside world. Then you can come down, like it says, Yeshev Hashem Melech L'olam. Then God is a king forever. Just like a person that sits down, he lowers himself below. And that's what Yitzchak said to Esav. Said to that's right, Esav. He said, come and eat from the food. That calling Yanim Dibur, Maisav, Torah, for mitzvahs, they are bechinas tzayid, shenitzudim nitzutzos, that the whole idea of Torah and the commandments, this blessing that he gave to the Yitzchak wanted to give, was in order that they should eat from what was trapped. What's trapped? That the sparks in the world are trapped. We trap them. by means of our Torah and our commandments and elevate them. The body, the animal soul, the natural soul, they can transform to holiness. And that's the idea of Yitzchak saying, come and eat from my food together. That's what it says, that the Jewish people, they feed God. In this case, Yitzchak is a metaphor for God, and Esav and Yaakov, Esav is a metaphor for the world, and Yaakov is a metaphor for the Jewish people. So Yitzchak gives the blessing to Yaakov, that Yaakov should work on himself, and then he can elevate Esav. So he says that's the whole idea. That's what the idea is, to bless your soul. The whole idea is the Jewish people are supposed to bless this whole thing, this interaction between Yaakov and Esav and Yitzchak is the same interaction of the Jewish people with the non-Jewish world and God. God is represented by Yitzchak. So Yaakov gets the blessing and he has to use it in order to transform Esav. That's the whole purpose, is to transform Esav, to transform the world, to take the curses and make them into blessings. One moment.